Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease.
What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'll be giving my UFC Vegas 66 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, December 17, 2022, final card of the year. Did pretty well in the last one. I think I went 10-2. Kind of some weird things happening on the last pay-per-view card, but either way, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one and try to get the last one on the year. And then we get a little bit of a break and then we come back. So Cody Brundage in the first fight on the main card. We've got Cody Brundage taking on Michał Oleksiejczuk in a middleweight bout. So for Oleksiejczuk, he's coming in here with a record of 17-5, one no contest. And then for Cody Brundage, he's coming in with a record of 8-2. Now, I think it's pretty straightforward unless Oleksiejczuk gets a little bit too crazy with it and finds a way to get himself clipped. I don't personally think that's going to happen here unless, yeah, like he's going to have to make a big mistake here. I think overall Oleksiejczuk is going to run in here and kind of just be overly aggressive, light up Brundage, catch him, put him down, maybe a standing TKO, or he stands on top of him, just beating him up. I think he tries to do the same thing like he did to Sam Alvey. Now, granted, Sam Alvey is definitely was on his way out of the UFC. I'm not saying Brundage is on the same level as Sam Alvey, but I do think Brundage has a little bit of some power shots that he throws that can be super countered, and I just see Oleksiejczuk being the guy to counter him pretty aggressively and kill him. Brundage might try to go in for some takedowns. Obviously, we've seen some people beat Oleksiejczuk, be able to get the takedowns, but at the same time, like maybe he'll be able to defend them. Who knows? Either way, I think Brundage is just not gonna be aggressive enough and probably try to counter off something. But I just think Oleksiejczuk is gonna be too aggressive and kind of light him up. Maybe get a standing TKO. So I'm gonna go Michał Oleksiejczuk to defeat Cody Brundage. I'm gonna take him by round 1 KO TKO. In the second fight on the main card, we have Drew Dober coming in this fight, 25-11, one no contest. He'll be taking on Bobby Green King, 29-13-1. So for Drew Dober, he's coming in with a victory over Rafael Alves in a fight where Alves kind of just gave away the fight slowly. Cardio was draining. And I'm going to give it to Drew Dober. I think some people were saying something about his cardio. Honestly, in that fight, he had the cardio, right? So that's kind of subjective. I thought he did well in that fight cardio-wise. He obviously did enough. Then he was able to get that body shot and put him down. Against Terrence McKinney, that was more of McKinney's mistake. McKinney was kind of winning that fight, and then he ended up getting it just flipped, you know, and then you got Dober hurting him or whatever. But Drew Dober, I'll give him this. He has fought, you know, top-level competition. He's fought the champion, Islam Makhachev. Got taken down 3 times in that fight. Terrence McKinney took him down 2 times. Alves took him down 1 time. Brad Riddell took him down 5 times. So I think we kind of see a thing here where it's not that if he gets taken down, he can lose, but it's probably where you want to take the fight, maybe to get a little bit of something going on. But I do think, like, against Alex Hernandez, who took Drew Dober down 3 times, but then Hernandez gets KO'd because his stand-up isn't the best. Nasrat Haqparast, he KOs him, but it's Haqparast, whatever. Marco Polo Reyes, he gets the KO on, and then he loses to Beneil Dariush via submission. So against like really good grapplers or whatever, he's going to probably lose to them. And then against guys, he can kind of get away with it. Maybe he gets taken down, but on the feet, he's just better than them. Because he does have some pretty good power, good body kicks, pretty tough chin. He can definitely stay in there too and try to grind with you or whatever and throw down with you. He's not afraid to throw down. So that kind of, you know, he can still win the fight, right? It's not like he just gets absolutely obliterated or whatever when he loses. For Bobby Green, obviously coming off the positive thing for the steroids or whatever it may be, you know, we don't really know I mean, he took a short notice fight against Islam Makhachev and still died. So it's like, if that was what that was for, I mean, it didn't work. It's like, whatever, right? But Bobby Green is a solid fighter. Great boxing, great head movement. He does leave his hands a little low as part of his whole game. That's a little sketchy because I think in this fight, if he gets hit pretty hard, like in one of these wild exchanges, he might get put down or whatever. He beat up Nasrat Kakras, so he's still really good. 188 significant strikes to 76. He took out Ali Quinta, got to take him out. Lost to Rafael Fiziev, but it was a close fight, and he actually landed more strikes than him. Lost to Thiago Moises, unanimous decision. Had more strikes than him. So even when he's losing a decision, Bobby Green is still outpointing people. So I think the biggest thing would be here is whether or not Green's going to try to grapple with him, right? I think if Green can mix in the grappling and at the same time just constantly keep trying to light up Dober, I think he can find his way to a decision here. I think Green has to be a little bit careful if Dober tries to back him up against the fence and then start trying to throw bombs on him. That can get a little sketchy. I don't think Green's going to want to play that kind of game here. I think Green's going to want to try to piece him apart from the distance. Kind of point fight, maybe even trying to mix in a takedown. Just try to out-volume Dober. Keep away from like getting, into a wild exchange or whatever. And then kind of win the fight like that. Because I do think Green can win the fight. I don't really think like Dober's going to be the one. Like, Dober's not going to be diving in for takedowns or anything like that. He's just going to be trying to tire out Green, load up on some of the shots, probably go to the body, whatever. But Green is good, man. Green's a good striker. I don't think he's done yet. Maybe he gets KO'd here if he gets clipped. But I think a lot of people underestimate Bobby Green. And I'll be honest, I think Dober got a little bit lucky against McKinney. And then even against Alves, it was more of just Alves kind of gassing out, in my opinion, than anything. Now, granted, Dober took advantage of that, right? He definitely stayed in there, beat him up, stayed alive to the point where he was not the tired fighter, and he took advantage of that. I'm not counting him out for that, but I do think Green can be a little bit of a frustration to a lot of guys when it comes to trying to get a decision victory over him. I think Green's still hanging in there, and I don't think we should underestimate his striking. So I'm going to go Bobby Green on this one. I'll take him to defeat Drew Dober. I'll take it a win by a decision. In the third fight on the main card, we have Alex Caceres, 19-13, 1-no contest, taking on Julian Erosa, 28-10 for Erosa. Now, Alex Caceres is one of these guys who has been in the UFC for a long ass time, right? He's been in the UFC since March 26th of 2011. So they've kept him around. He's kind of like a gatekeeper in this division, or I think I think he's gone up and down, whatever. But yeah, he's kind of like a little bit of a gatekeeper. He's always game to fight. He actually went on a pretty solid win streak before he fought Sodiq Yusuff. Was like 5 wins, and now he lost to Sodiq Yusuff, which was a pretty close, significant strike match, right? They both, Alex Caceres outlanded him by 2 significant strikes, 66 to 64. So pretty close fight on the feet. I just, he landed more headshots, whatever, but they gave the win to Sodiq Yusuff. But I would say it was pretty decent contest. It's just Yusuff had more control. Whatever. But that's a top level guy, Sodiq Yusuff. So I wouldn't really, Caceres is still around, and there were moments where like Caceres took his bag. He's not a guy you want to be giving your back up to or just diving in for takedowns because you can get submitted or whatnot. He can definitely climb on you, get that rear naked choke. He's always bouncing around, using a lot of movement. This is not a guy who's going to gas out in Caceres. Maybe he gasses out if he's getting hurt or whatever, but he's gone 5 rounds with Yair Rodriguez. He's fought like everyone that you can try to gatekeep in the division or whatever. And he's not getting knocked out, right? So it's like, okay, like he's not done yet. And then so for Julian Erosa, he's coming in this fight with a win over Hakeem Dawodu via unanimous decision, got the 2 takedowns against Steven Peterson, 3 takedowns, and he also landed 155 significant strikes in that fight. Against Charles Jourdain, he got 2 takedowns and then got the Darce choke. So again, this guy is getting finishes, Erosa, and he's also outstriking people, mixing in the grappling. And so my only concern I do think Erosa's probably going to win this fight. I think he's probably the better fighter. My only concern is if Erosa gets a little too comfortable with some of the grappling, that Caceres is going to be able to do a reversal, stuff like that. So maybe not dive in for takedowns early on. Try to test the striking of Caceres, get in his face, try to shut down his movement. I don't think Caceres is like one of these guys who wants to brawl with someone. So if Erosa could close that distance and try to kind of disrupt him a little bit in close, I think Erosa will find success there. From that, he can maybe mix in the takedowns against the fence, kind of try to grind him out and frustrate him a little bit. But yeah, I wouldn't. If I was Erosa, I wouldn't be diving in for takedowns early on. I try to keep the fight standing, see what I can do to close the distance, kind of beat him up, and then kind of go from there. Because I think if he pressures him, Caceres won't be able to get off too much. Now, granted, Caceres has a pretty good left hand too, so he could sneak that in there. And like I said, he could reverse positions, but I really do like Julian Erosa. I think he's probably the one that's on the come up versus Caceres being a gatekeeper or whatever. So I'm going to go Julian Erosa to defeat Alex Caceres. I'll take him to win by a decision. In the 4th fight on the main card, we have Amir Albazi taking on Alessandro Costa. Now, this is an interesting matchup just because we got one guy who fought on Dana White Contender Series, didn't get into the UFC, fights another guy, absolutely crushes him, like within a couple, I think it was like a couple seconds or whatever, and then he's fighting on this card against Amir Albazi. And Amir Albazi is coming off of a win over Francisco Figueiredo via submission in round number 1. Very capable of landing submissions. He took out Malcolm Gordon in his first fight via triangle choke. Got the decision over Zhalgas Ismagulov. But the one thing I will say is, so it was like one fight a year, and then this year he's going to fight twice. So that's pretty good. And Figueiredo was pretty game too, so I would say that was a good win for Albazi. For Albazi, he had a lot of canceled fights, right? So he had a canceled fight against Brandon Royval, Alex Perez, Tim Elliott. I think he's going to have the grappling advantage in this fight. I don't see a reason why he should come out here and start striking with Costa. I think Costa's probably going to want to strike in this one, especially what we saw off his last fight, right? He's got a lot of power. He'd come out here, try to throw one shot, knock him out or something. But I think Albazi's going to try to slow this fight down, get the grappling going. He has pretty good top control, ground and pound, obviously a submission threat. I think he has the cardio to go about this fight to take it into the grappling realm, see if he can tire out Alessandro. The only thing I will say, a lot of these strikers like Albazi, very good grappling, but then like the striking can kind of seem a little bit labored or whatever, can kind of seem a little bit weak. That's my only concern here, is if like Alessandro Costa comes out super aggressive and is like starts just trying to lay him bombs, like Albazi might get a little bit disrupted, might be a little bit overwhelmed, and maybe he gets clipped. But I do think if Albazi can get the grappling going, I think he finds the way to pretty much dominate the fight and then probably eventually pull off a submission. So again, we haven't really seen too much of recent from Alessandro Costa, so it's hard to understand like the improvements he's made. Like he got a split decision victory in Dana White Contender Series, and then he nukes the next guy. So it's I don't know, right? I don't know what improvements he's made. Like whatever, right? Is he gonna fight, like try to go for a decision here, or is he gonna try to come out and nuke Albazi? I don't know. So I'm gonna go Amir Albazi. I think he's probably gonna get the grappling going, slow the fight down, not keep it on the feet, and then try to kind of just wear and tear on him until he gets the submission. So I'll go Amir Albazi defeat Alessandro Costa. I'll take him to win by round 2 submission. In the fourth fight, in the co-main event that evening, we have Arman Tsarukyan, 18-3, taking on Damir Ismagulov, 24-1, in a lightweight bout. And this is going to be a pretty entertaining fight. I think this is going to be fight of the night. I think this is fight of the night because it's going to be super competitive. I don't know if anyone's going to get knocked out or anything like that, but I do think it's going to be a back and forth competitive fight. If it goes to decision, it goes to decision. For Tsarukyan, is coming off a tough loss against Masus Gamrot. You know, if he didn't get taken down 6 times, I think it would have been even a more competitive fight. It might have been like a split decision, but Gamrot was able to get the 6 takedowns on him. But early on, Tsarukyan is hard to take down, right? So I was like the first takedown Gamrot went for. Tsarukyan showed some pretty solid takedown defense. And it's one of those guys where early on, you have to do a lot to get the takedown. You're not going to just be able to dive in for it and get it at will or whatever. So I don't think Ismagulov is going to be diving in for takedowns early on to begin with. His stand-up's pretty awkward. He's one of those guys where it's hard to predict like how he's going to throw. He looks a little bit slow or whatever, and then he comes out of nowhere, tries to land the big shot or whatever. He's very calculated. Like, he's not going to waste energy just brawling or anything like that. But the same thing is for Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan will get in there with you, throw down, very competitive in the striking. He has power too. His wrestling's good defensively and offensively. Tsarukyan, yeah, I mean, he's very technical on the feet. Will pick his shots. But I do think Tsarukyan, I don't know, I feel like Tsarukyan can threaten a little bit more with the power, just because he might be try to get super aggressive or whatever. And he's been in a 5-round fight, right? So Tsarukyan kind of knows what it's like to fight in a 5-round fight. So I'm not worried about cardio here. I don't think either guy's going to have a problem with the cardio. I think obviously Tsarukyan's more of a finisher, but Ismagulov definitely knows how to win a fight, and he knows how to frustrate his opponents. Coming off that split decision against Kudaladzej, one hell of a split decision because he got taken down once and had one more significant strike landed than Kudaladzej. But he won a split decision, and all of his wins inside the UFC are via split decision. I mean, via decisions of unanimous decision. So it's not like he's landing. I don't think that's another thing. Like, he's not going to be outlanding Tsarukyan maybe, but at the same time, like, Ismagulov's kind of awkward. So yeah, this one makes it a hard fight to pick, just because if Ismagulov can defend some takedowns here and keep the fight standing and frustrate Tsarukyan, kind of land some like unique shots, even if it's like lower volume, he might kind of outpoint him to a victory here. It's just, I think it's dependent on if Tsarukyan gets super aggressive and is able to kind of land anything on him. Maybe Ismagulov tries to clinch with Tsarukyan, not take him down, kind of weigh on him, whatever, land some shots in the clinch. But I don't know. Like, Tsarukyan is pretty game, and he can be pretty aggressive. Like, he definitely went at Gamrot. That's why he had more significant strikes landed. He's game. Like, he's pretty tough. He took out Joel Alvarez, killed him. Matt Frivola took him out via unanimous decision. 10 takedowns on Matt Frivola. So I wouldn't underestimate Tsarukyan, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, something about Ismagulov. I feel like he's gonna make this shit competitive, and like, it might be a tactical fight. It might not be like, oh, like a brawling thing or anything like that. But I don't know. Sometimes when you see these guys have all these decisions, you're like, I don't know about that, man. Like, all decisions, like, is he really gonna do something? And then he comes out against someone who will come at him, and then he lands a good shot, puts him away or something. So I think this is gonna be a super competitive fight, but I'm just leaning towards Damir Ismagulov, just because, if he's not gonna get taken down, if he can make the striking affair a little bit awkward, pick his shots, frustrate Tsarukyan, I feel like he can win a decision here. And like I said, it might be a close decision or whatever, but I want to see what Ismagulov's got, because he just looks super calculated, kind of awkward, right? His stand up a little bit awkward. He's not brawling, but when he throws, like he definitely throws with power. And was he gonna have the? Yeah, it was just a little bit of a height advantage, but nothing crazy. So yeah, we'll see what happens here. Maybe Tsarukyan tries to lean towards the grappling and become the grappler in this one, but I think Ismagulov might be able to stuff some of them, keep the fight standing, pick him apart on the feet, take advantage of some of his aggression. So I'm gonna go Damir Ismagulov to defeat Arman Tsarukyan in a close fight via decision. In the main event of the evening, we have Jared Cannonier taking on Sean Strickland, 15-6 for Cannonier, and then 25-4 for Strickland. So this is an interesting matchup just because you got one guy in Cannonier who had a very lackluster fight with the former champion Israel Adesanya, where it's kind of obvious like Adesanya was just a better fighter. People were blaming Adesanya or whatever, but Cannonier wasn't really attacking either, and Adesanya is a counter fighter, so he was trying to counter him, but there's nothing to counter. And Cannonier is kind of notorious for not going for it when he needs to. I think there's been a lot of fights, like even against Robert Whittaker, where if he just tried to land a little bit more volume, he might have made the fight a little bit more competitive. And then you got the other guy, Sean Strickland, who lost worse to the current champion Alex Pereira via KO, honestly. But, in round number 1, after coming off of a 6-fight win streak, he just got absolutely crushed. So let's say this fight goes to a decision or something like that, and it's not really the most entertaining thing in the world. Are you really going to, like, if Sean Strickland wins, like, I think it's a little bit of a hard sell to be like, oh, he should jump right back in there against Alex Pereira. If Cannonier wins, I guess he could jump in there against him, see what he can do. Maybe it's a good matchup for him. See if he can land some bombs on him, I guess. But if Sean Strickland wins, don't really see him getting a title shot. If Cannonier wins, he's going to have to win pretty dominantly to get a title shot. If he absolutely kills Sean Strickland, maybe he gets started in there at this point. I don't know. Or whoever. If Sean Strickland wins, maybe he fights Adesanya. So yeah. But yeah, for this one, I think it comes down to Cannonier, whether or not he's able to be super aggressive and just don't basically get kicked and jabbed to death by Sean Strickland. If Cannonier can get past the jab in this fight, which is going to make him have to be the aggressor, which is something he's not really good at, I guess, I think he can definitely start teeing off on Strickland. Cannonier has some pretty solid leg kicks. If he can start attacking Sean Strickland, Sean Strickland's very upright. He likes to get in tight with the boxing. He also lands some pretty good high kicks and all that, but I would say he'll jab you to death, right? He has no problem kind of staying in that range, popping you with the jab. And it's a pretty good jab, it'll definitely start to wear on you over a while. But if Cannonier can get past that and put his hands on Strickland, I think Cannonier can knock him out. I really don't see why not. I don't think Strickland's going to knock out Cannonier. Maybe Strickland's able to out-volume to a point where he gets a late finish because Cannonier's kind of just getting beat up, I guess. But I truly think, like, Cannonier has to win this fight if he wants to stay relevant in this division. You can't lose to the champion, the previous champion, and then you can't lose to the guy that got absolutely crushed by the next champion. Like, at that point, you're just going to get the gatekeeper role, and you're not really going to ever fight for the championship again. And it would suck because I do think Cannonier has really good... Like, I think he's a really good fighter. Like, I think if he could be a little bit more aggressive, man, like, he could start knocking dudes out. Like, he wouldn't... And not just, like, knocking out Derek Brunson. Like, he could take care of Gastelum. He could have taken care of Robert Whittaker, right? He could do what he did to Jack Hermanson and Anderson Silva and David Branch, but to the top-level guys. If he fought a little bit more aggressive and just kind of didn't worry so much about getting countered, right? So hopefully he can get past the jab here. If not, I think we see another Strickland like decision, maybe late finish. Don't really see a finish because I think Cannonier's tough. The only thing if Cannonier is getting finished is if he's like absolutely gassed out or something. But again, he doesn't throw that much to where he's like gassing out or whatever. So yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm going to just go for the wing it on this one. and not pick the guy that is probably going to win via decision. I'm going to try to go for the fighter that has the opportunity to get the finish. So I'm going to go Jared Cannonier on this one. I'm going to take him to defeat Sean Strickland by round 2, KO TKO. And then so that'll do, guys, for my UFC Vegas 66 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, December 17, 2022 in the UFC Apex. Pretty solid main card. Close out the year for a Vegas card. And then we roll into the next year. I hope everyone has a great New Year's Eve, holidays, whatever you celebrate. Enjoy it. Enjoy the World Cup if you're watching that. Enjoy football if you're watching that. American football, I'll say that. But yeah, enjoy whatever you're doing. Spend some time with your family. And you know what? I'll see you guys next year.